Hello, welcome back to Space Engineers. In today's video, we're looking at another small block trade ship that's great for moving large amounts of cargo from one place to another, and for say doing heavy trade contracts that can make you a nice lot of space credits. So this thing seen right behind me is called the Caravaner LCS, which is this lovely thing with one hell of a lot of cargo containers strapped to the back. We've got a secondary cockpit for your co-pilot to come along. They even have access to a remote control block, so if for whatever reason you die on your adventure, they can say still remain in their cockpit and just take over the whole ship and fly back to base. We have no guns on here, so there's absolutely no defense on this thing, but we do have a nice lot of armored panels and steel blocks, just making sure we've got a bit of protection on our main cargo. And while we do have a few bits and bobs of useful utility in the form of ore detectors and movable landing legs that sit right below the ship that'll fold all the way up and inside and tuck neatly away. Anyway, coming like this, pressing F10 and finding it in the spawn menu, the Caravan is 819 small blocks, using a lot of the DLC packs. We see here a nice bit of information about it. Then down to here we see its specifications, where we can see we've got ourselves our double cockpit, 102 small batteries, 3 large batteries, 8 small atmospheric thrusters, 45 small flat atmospheric thrusters. Then we see we've got some large ones, some small reactors, hydrogen engines, O2 H2 generators, and well, quite a lot of stuff they really wouldn't think would be on this ship due to the sheer size of it. Anyway, giving this thing a thumbs up, move around towards the very front, while we could look round the outside. I'll grab hold of my character, we'll hop on the inside and drive around for a bit, and maybe just slam it into the ground to see how it explodes. So at the very front for the Caravaner, this is what we get. So we can clearly see our cab cockpit, which is our primary cockpit to drive this thing around, and it holds all of our controls. At the very front here, right below it, we've got ourselves one of our fan atmospheric thrusters, which do look bloody glorious, and I am a very big fan of this block. Anyway, on the left and right hand side, we can see you've got our spotlights to light up with darkness, as well as some containers for you to store a few bits and bobs inside. Moving around over to here, we see the start of a couple atmospheric thrusters. There was some barred window blocks, some hazard skin, just to make a bit of a cage around that tank and around that thruster. Then over to here, we've got some fantastic use for some unfinished spotlights that will lead all the way up like a ladder to our rear cockpit, our industrial cockpit, for your co-pilot to sit in. As we were to move all the way along, we see a small beacon at the top there, along with a antenna and a small rotating light. Over to here, we've got some more of our flat atmospheric thrusters, 2 small, 1 large, and the cargo container sticking out the side for you to easily access. We then got some fantastic use of some neon tubes to go all the way along, almost like a small ladder, and almost like a support strut, just holding everything together. Then as we were to move along, we'll see even more of our atmospheric thrusters, until we get to the very end of this thing. We'll then see a red light that'll blink when we turn it on. Moving around towards the very back of this thing, we'll see some more of our lovely atmospheric thrusters, but this at the very back, I absolutely love this. We've got the curved blocks on the top and the bottom. If we were to get a bit closer, we see they're almost fits in with the rest of the design. There's a tiny bit sticking out right there, but looking at it from a distance, it looks like it's absolutely perfect with the rest of the overall rounded design. Anyway, yes, looking at from the very back there, so we've got 4 thrusters to move us around, and we've got some more brake lights that we can turn on and off from the cockpit. Looking down there, we've got 2 more. Then looking down at the very bottom there, can't really see too much because of all the grass. Moving all the way up and looking down, so we've got some more of our hazard skin just going all the way along. We've got some more of our lovely blue battered skin blocks. They'll move across to our grey that sits on the side where those thrusters are sitting. But there is a yellow hydrogen tank with an access panel on each side. Moving all the way along, there's the start of our cargo containers, once again with an access panel on top to open up and access the inside if we need to. There's a secondary one, and there's a rotating light near the very front. So there's our industrial cockpit, there is our cab cockpit. Then moving all the way down underneath this thing, down we come, there we are. We'll see a searchlight, we then got a fireworks launcher, there's some more atmospheric thrusters, there is our little legs that'll hold all the way up. That's simply what they look like, 2 hinges and a magnetic plate that will just fit up and into that little gap right there. Then pull it away, there's our connected dock sitting up, and of course to load and unload all our goods from our containers. Then towards the back there, one hell of a lot of atmospheric thrusters, one hell of a lot of hydrogen thrusters, to keep this thing off the ground when we're nice and heavy. And we do have some very useful information in the cockpit to know just how much you can carry before the atmospheric thrusters say get overwhelmed and you come crashing down to the ground. At the very back there is our hydrogen engine, and that's that for the outside. So now what we can do is just grab hold of my character and we'll get into the cockpit and we'll go through the controls. So all the way up to here into the cockpit, there we are, and bringing up the HUD, first looking down. So this is important information that I was talking about just a second ago, where we can see our hauling strength, where we've got our hydrogen ammos together, which will allow us to carry 315 tons. If we only want to use our atmospheric thrusters and want to be safe about it, we can carry 130 tons. Then if we want to use our atmospheric thrusters and, well, be a bit more riskier, we can go up to 160. But as for the actual controls over this ship, coming to third person view and pressing number 1, this is a camera that sits right above our cab cockpit, so we can see what's going on. Coming out to there and pressing number 2 to be for your lights all around the ship, turn them on and off. Number 3 is then for your rotating light on top, just in case you need it. Number 4 is then for your firework launcher, where you can just press that and now activate it below onto the ground. Number 5 is then for your small little beacon, turn it on and off. Number 6 is for your reactors, turn them on and off. 7 is for your hydrogen engines. 8 is for your ore detector. 9 is for your antenna. Over to tab number 2. Number 1 is for your camera that sits right next to that connector to help dock it up. They've got number 2 for our landing legs, where I will need to press P, lift this all the way up. If I can actually turn on the thrusters first of all, there we are. Press P, lift it off the ground, and then find the free camera. So wherever the ship has gone, there it is. Moving it all the way up like so, getting a good look on those legs, pressing number 2, then fold all the way up, and nice and neatly tuck away, giving you plenty of clearance on that connector right there. We'll go move them all the way down. There we go. Then put them all the way back up. Just a nice neat solution to not having the big bulky landing legs like some ships tend to go for. Anyway, 3 and 4 to lock and unlock our magnetic plates on those legs. Number 5 and number 6 is to turn on and off your thrusters all around the ship. Number 7 for your batteries to auto or recharge. Number 8 for your hydrogen tanks to stockpile on and off. And then number 9 for your connector to lock and unlock it. Over tab number 3, 4 and 5, we've got nothing else. So it's time to drive this thing around and see how it handles. So moving forward, on the alien planet, this is what we get. And we've got some respectable speed for a transport ship. Now this thing is currently completely empty, so not going to be affected by any kind of weight. But once we're able to be a bit full up, we'll be a little bit slower, but generally not too bad. Coming to a stop, we are, well, surprisingly quite fast. It's not going to take too long for us to go from 100 to 0, but of course that will change when we're full up, like moving forwards. Moving left, and moving right, we've got some nice speed with that. Moving down is going to be greatly assisted by gravity because we are on the alien planet. And then moving up, there we go, one hell of a lot of speed, which is greatly needed. Of course, carry all the stuff inside us. But then as for gyroscope controls, this is what we get. Well, there's basically just a tiny hint away on here, not too much, but then again, once we fill this all the way up, it's going to be completely different. As it stands, it's very nice and very responsive, so there is that. And here we are. What I've done is build up one of the containers with 15,000 clang cola, and then down here we've got a more reasonable one, which is 42,000.2 gold ore, which of course is a hell of a lot more weight than the poor little cola bottles. But yes, moving this thing forwards, as you can see, it has made quite a big impact on moving forwards, but again, it's not too bad at the end of the day. We're going to be able to scoot this around at 100 meters per second very, very quickly, but what's not going to last, of course, is our hydrogen. We can see on the bottom right hand corner, it's going down quite quickly. Anyway, moving left again, doesn't really appear to be too affected by that. Moving down, yes, we're going to be affected by gravity, then moving up. As you can see, we're going to take quite some time to go all the way up. We are going to use one hell of a lot of hydrogen doing so. And speaking of hydrogen, what we're going to do is turn that off. And now we're going to move this around purely on atmospheric. So, moving forward, this is not going to be affected by this too much. But what is going to be affected is moving down. So here we go, all the way down. We're going to go up to about 30. There we go. And now, as we were to try and move all the way up without those hydrogen thrusters, as you can see, we are moving down quite rapidly. And our time to take to slow this thing down, it's not going to be too good, especially on the alien planet, so it's much closer to the ground, while we would slam straight into it. But for the moment, what I'll do is put on the hydrogen thrusters, might as well let them go, because the only thing left to do with this ship is of course slam it into the ground to see how it explodes, and hopefully those clank loaders don't just go flying everywhere. So moving all the way forwards, here we go. Now we're going to aim for this little outcropping right here. Looks like a little outcropping, might be just a small mound. But here we go, any second now. And there we go. Not too much damage was dealt, but it doesn't really look like I can move this too much. Oh god, that was a bit odd. I don't know why I did a backflip there. But yes, looking at the front there, it looks like we lost some of the parts at the bottom, but we still got a cab cockpit. We can still fly this thing around. So I'd say that's a pretty successful crash at the end of the day. But yes, for the Caravaner LCS, it's a lovely ship to use in your world if you want to have something to carry a nice sort of resources from one place to another. It's got a very nice sleek design. And while it could do a few guns here and there if you are going through a hostile zone, but if you go through a nice peaceful zone or you have someone who can protect you on your journey, this will do very well in survival mode. So there'll be a link to the description below if you wish to download and play around it yourself. Highly recommend you do. And I'll be back with another video some point soon. Bye bye.